looking down at some of your notes because we've probably gotten off track to whatever we wanted to do. So Northwestern this week.
His struggles up there, but
why in the world is it a 5-point line?
It was 6 earlier.
I think it opened at 3.
No, it opened at 6.
Did it?
Yeah. Here's the thing. 2007. I made the comparison earlier. Jay Christensen goes up to Northwestern. Iowa beats him 28-17. Throws for almost 300 yards. Hits bombs to Trey Strauss all day. And
so you're saying Iowa's going to win this week?
I predicted Northwestern. So
I just think Northwestern dominates good Iowa teams. Not dominates, but they beat good Iowa teams.
Here's the other thing. You know Pat Fitzgerald doesn't like Iowa.
Why is that?
He broke his leg against Iowa, I think, and he holds some bitterness towards Coach Fry. And so whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his prerogative, and you can imagine maybe he'd like to step on Iowa's throat when they're down, which is his prerogative. But his football team is also blown 2 fourth-quarter leads, double figures, and they could be 8-0.
That both of those cost me money.
They could be 8-0.
Both those blown leads cost.
One of them was when I was in Vegas, and
that probably got you. This week's killed me. I just don't see it being close enough to come back. And how do you look at this Iowa team and say they have any explosiveness in order to come back?
Well, and Northwestern's got a guy in Venrick Mark who's really good. I mean, he returned the punt against Nebraska last week for a touchdown. He's got 2 of those this year. He's explosive back. Iowa really hasn't faced a running back like this kid all year, and they had trouble with the Belton kid last week for Penn State. So it's trouble.
Is there anything different about Iowa this week? Do they change anything?
The only thing that I can say is maybe Wiseman's healthier, and they can dominate the run game, but you're going to be without Brandon Sheriff.
But when you watch a game where you lose at home with the atmosphere the way it was,
38-7,
don't you have to tweak something, make some type of change? I'm not saying you have to bench your starting quarterback, but you can't just go in as is, can you?
My suggestion, and Greg Davis, if you're tuning in on the way up.
I'm sure he watches it every week.
He's on the way to Chicago today, tuning in, or he'll sit in the hotel tonight.
They all do.
He'll say, boy, I wonder what Tom and Matt had to say. Vertical routes.
But that's a great. But that's not going to happen. Your ideas, fans' ideas.
Here's the thing: they're missing 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks, and their top corner that's playing is dinged up. So they're basically a half of a guy and a 4th stringer at corner. And
I just hope they know enough to. And they do.
But I'm also concerned that Nolan McMillan's going up against the guy who's got the most sacks in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's just injuries really hurt him against Penn State, because that not just is a loss for the Penn State game, but that's a loss down the road, and so that's a problem. Recruiting, the 2 biggest recruiting weekends of the year for Iowa, and they lose to Iowa State in an ugly game, and then this disaster that happens.
But
what came out of
it's been positive.
But in all due respect to you, Tom, does a recruit ever call and say, do they? They just say,
it wasn't very much fun. I didn't
really
enjoy it.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah. So
we had one I think it was last year, this Allen kid from Indiana who ended up going to Ole Miss, I think. And
just flat out said,
he just basically said, and Donde Kirby, I remember he didn't.
Yeah. Who have you heard from? What do you think? What do you hear?
Because
there was a
Berkeley
lot
Edwards said he had a great visit. I think. Here's what I think. Kids don't look at the vacuum of it was just a bad. They don't look at the win-loss thing as much, or that game. They look at the overall picture. They like the environment. They like the striping of the stadium. They like the fireworks. They like the.
I heard Coach Ferentz didn't like the fireworks.
Maybe.
That's what I heard down on the sidelines. That he was in for him, but he didn't want any smoke. There was smoke.
It got out of there quick though.
Yeah. So did the game.
Yeah.
That was quicker
Berkeley
than the
Edwards,
game.
John Kenny, one of those kids from Indiana that was maybe wavering, is 100% now, and he's coming in December or January 19th. The 2014 kids, Russ Pierschbacher from Cedar Falls just beat Central the other night.
It was a long.
They had Shield kid from Union. Those 2 guys, in-state kids, really had a good time. Kale Wilbon. Brian Allen, Clayton Thorson, they all have offers, Illinois kids, and they were all there and seemed to enjoy it. So.
Where are these kids? This may be way off subject. Where are these kids at when dumb Iowa fans are throwing rally
Not far
flags?
from there, but I don't think they can see it.
I was just curious.
Because they're in that end zone where the students are,
Yeah.
but they're up and to the side further.
So they didn't see that.
They probably couldn't see.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Can we talk a little basketball now?
Sure.
Real quick, prediction time for Tom Kakert. You've been right on Iowa twice this year?
3 times.
3 times. At
I'm 3
Northwestern,
and 4.
it's a 5-point line right now for those who like to partake in gambling. Your predicted score.
Meow.
It's not a score. And don't ever meow on the
Meow.
no, doesn't help when you do it like that either.
28-17, Wildcats.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than that.
Well,
But,
don't let last week cloud you.
I didn't. But here's what clouded me last week: Central Michigan, Iowa State,
By the way,
Northern
Central,
Illinois.
for those saying this was the worst loss of the Ferentz era,
not even close.
the Central Michigan loss is 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Because that team is bad.
Here's the problem I made: is I let the Michigan State victory cloud my gambling for last week. I mean, my gambling for last week. That was the problem because that was an ugly win too.
Don't let the bad Penn State loss cloud it this week.
But the bad I won't. But I'll remember Central Michigan. I'll remember the Iowa State. I mean, this team and Michigan State. That victory was disgusting to watch. When you go back and look at it, they did nothing all game long. They scored a touchdown late, and then they played good in overtime.
So was that 6-4 game in 2005 against Penn State? It was
basketball,
a work of art.
Basketball, because it was a much different, much more positive to talk about. It was a fun weekend, and that was a successful black and gold blowout, wasn't it?
It was really cool. Fran coming out in the Corvette, and the players doing their dance moves and everything. I mean, good crowd, probably 7,500 fans there.
You would compare that to?
It was bigger than most lick nights.
There you go. I think I saw. Did you tweet that? Or did you put that on your board? Yeah, I think that's what
it was bigger crowd than most of the Licklider era.
Anything you take out of it besides the good, feel good? It's good for the program. It's good to, to rally excitement and all that stuff.
Yeah, and Devin Marble got out there. He just got cleared from pneumonia, so that was good to see him out there.
Eric May had a pretty cool dunk.
Eric May had a great dunk where he bounced. They had a dunk contest. It was cool.
Who was it? Rickert or?
Yeah, Chris Rickert.
He deserves more credit for that.
He headed it.
That's perfect.
But they took like 4 or 5 tries to get that down.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was not a first time.
I just saw the video.
But it was cool to see that the header and then that. I tell you what, Gable Licini had some dunks. I mean, he went between his legs and threw it down. 6'10" guy going between the legs like that.
It's going to be a really interesting media day in Chicago was the last couple days.
Yeah.
And everyone talked about how great the league was, and I think we've reiterated that over and over again. It's going to be a really good, really fun winter of basketball.
It is, and this is a good
recruiting-wise, because I don't want to talk to you about this because there's a lot of Quad City area kids. And I know a lot of people watch this from around the state of Iowa, the world, the nation. We're a nation. But not just that, but like Quad City people who are watching this in the Quad Cities. Quad City kids were up there, the ones that we've kind of talked about a little bit. What, Jerry Miles there?
Jerry Miles was there.
And the 2 kids from North Scott?
Grant Graham, Cortez Seals were both there. Miles's 2016 has not played a game of basketball at the high school level yet. Graham and Seals, everybody around here knows. He really good, talented freshman. Seals got an offer from UNI, so he's getting a lot more attention. Jalen Jones, a kid from Clinton. 6'6" kid, is getting some attention. He was there. A couple other kids, Donovan Oliver, kid from Kewanee, who will be a freshman, 2016 kid, really talented kid. He was there, and Noah McCarty, I think he's from Newman.
Yep.
So
like a 6'7" kid. Yeah,
6'7" kid from Newman, Sterling Newman. And he's getting some attention too. I mean, they're both kids we're probably going to be watching.
Not Iowa news, but I wanted people who know basketball in the Quad Cities and are interested in basketball in the Quad Cities and sports in the Quad Cities. Davenport has open enrollment, and it's been something people have been talking a lot about. A really cool story next week on WQAD. Angie Sharp, I'm sorry, she just got married. Angie Sharp actually talked to some people today. She's working on a story that kind of looks into the open enrollment in Davenport. It's a really interesting situation because kids go all over the place. And it's funny because the superintendent, like the athletic director of the MAC conference, kind of basically said today that they need their coaches to connect with the feeder schools, which is recruiting. But it's an interesting thing if you're in the Quad Cities and you're watching this next
like Miles
week,
would go to Central if he went where
and
he
he
lived.
said one of the big reasons why he went to West is because of the relationship with Mark Bigler, who's a great guy. Yeah. It's extremely interesting. It's almost like it's recruiting.
I think Cortez Seals, he's a kid who opened.
Should have gone to West.
Yeah.
Well, here Zach Minch, who led the MAC in rushing this year, tweeted like yesterday, leads or sets the MAC record. Not too bad for a kid who transferred from West, meaning he should be at West. Not should be, because you transfer for different reasons, but so it's a whole totally off the Iowa subject, but it'll be very interesting to watch next week. It's a story that Corey and I have kind of wanted to do for the last few years, but we didn't want to get our hands into it, and Angie's doing a great job with it. So anyways, back to this.
And there are 2 other kids that visit. Michael Finke, the kid from Champaign Centennial.
He's getting a lot of
attention. He got a Purdue offer yesterday, so it's Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue.
And he'll go to Illinois.
2014 kid. He's from Champaign.
His dad played at Illinois.
There.
He'll go to
but
Illinois.
the fact that he hasn't committed there yet surprises me.
A little surprising.
And Isaiah Yarborough, kid from Chicago, 2014 wing player, was there as well.
Did you see on Twitter, again, nothing to do with Iowa, that Iowa State picked up another transfer? I know.
I haven't seen it.
It's a USC point guard.
Shocking.
Yeah, no
Fred
kidding.
Hoiberg.
Surprise.
Taking a transfer.
It'll be a fun year for basketball, and it gets going. Do you know the opening date?
They've got next Sunday is an exhibition game against Quincy College.
Okay.
Like the men and the women are playing, and then the 9th
is the opener.
And you guys next Saturday. Is the therapy center.
Yes, great call. And we'll actually remind people about the next vidcast, but it's the Indiana game. We're going to do a tailgate at the Children's Therapy Center is doing it for a tailgate at Model Women Park. Watch on the big screen at Model Women Park, the Iowa-Indiana game. Has there been a kickoff time
Not
for
yet.
that? We're assuming it's 11 o'clock. If it's 11 o'clock, then I think the gates open up at 9 and it'll go to 4. Tons of great food. There's going to be former Iowa players there. We'll update that information on which Iowa players are going to be there next week, all for a really good cause, the Children's Therapy Center of the Quad Cities. The same thing that benefits and does the stuff with the Chuck Long Sports Auction, and they also did the Legends of Iowa football camp. So it's a really great charity here in the Quad Cities. Love to help them out. They do great things for kids throughout the Quad Cities. So if you're interested in that, we'll put something on our website. We'll also have more about that next week. Yeah. Anything else, Chachi? You good to go? Can I go back to my nap?
That's it.
So for Tom Caker and Matt Randazzo, we'll see you guys next week.